Intuition is a muscle. It needs to be strengthened. It needs to be used. So when you don't use it, it weakens. It's the same thing with your body. When you don't use your body, it weakens. It's the same thing with your brain. When you don't use your brain, it weakens. So, if you think about it, the age of machines is going to try to weaken the human collective by making it super convenient. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. AI is everywhere right now, writing our emails, finishing our sentences, even predicting our next move. And here's the question no one's really asking. What's the cost of letting machines think for us? From draining our planet's water supplies to replacing our jobs, and maybe worst of all, silencing our intuition. In this episode, we're really going to talk about the quiet death of inner knowing in the age of AI. And I really was inspired to talk on this topic because of so much that's been happening around me. Every course I see now is offering an AI component, a bot, and this. I had a conversation with my son because I started learning Italian in anticipation of going to Italy. I started learning Italian on my holiday, and I was using Duolingo, which I really enjoy Duolingo. And the reason why I use Duolingo was because my son started learning Japanese a year ago on Duolingo and really enjoyed it. So I said, "Hey, I just started learning Italian on Duolingo." He goes, "Oh, mom, they've gone AI." And I said, "So?" I mean, like lots of people have gone AI, right? And he said, "No, they've replaced their speakers, they've cloned voices. And do you know that there's a water shortage in Georgia right now because they're using water to cool the AI processors rather than giving it to people to drink?" And I was like, no, not Duolingo, because I really enjoy Duolingo. But he's like, yes, mom. And he's 15, y'all. He's 15 to have this wherewithal at 15 to say AI is actually really, really bad. And one of the things I noticed, he was in summer school, because he's keen to do it. So he wanted to finish his diploma exams, two of his diploma exams this year in grade 11. So he's very keen. And they were very, very particular with rules around ChatGPT, AI. And so I asked him, what do you like? How do you use AI to study? He goes, if I don't know the answer to something, I'll ask AI to explain it to me. But he said AI doesn't always know it correctly either. He said he's learned something from AI and then he put it into on his math test and didn't go so well. So it's not always correct. AI is scouring the web to help, get an answer for you, and it's trying to give you answers. But what I've been noticing in terms of intuition, it coming up in my groups. So I run a membership for women who want to learn how to deepen and strengthen their intuition and their connection to themselves. And then also with regards to manifestation, understanding those philosophies of manifestation while healing and then flowing with the astrology of the planet. So it's called MIA Academy. And it's a beautiful community. It is always growing. If it's something you're interested in, please watch out for it because I do quarterly opening the doors to it. I'll be opening the doors to MIA at the end of September. whenever you are listening to this, it's quarterly. I open the doors to it, but then we do beautiful bonuses and master classes like card readings and pendulums and totem animals. And it is like, it just fills my heart. I just love sharing everything I know about intuition in that community and helping people give themselves readings and be their own, intuitive guru. You don't need me for that. You really can just dive deeper into your own knowing and using these tools to do so. So, one of the things that I talk about a lot is dream interpretation. I've always loved dream interpretation. And I've always kind of looked to books or resources. Sometimes there's some things that are just a little bit, hard to navigate, or you're not really sure what the meaning of that is. But emotions and dreams are so important. And so ChatGPT, I just happened to put in a dream of like, hey, here's the dream that I had, and it interpreted the energy correctly. It gave me 3 journal prompts. It broke down each part of the dream in terms of what it means consciously. It's really, really good. ChatGPT is amazing for dream interpretation. And so, as I shared that in my community, then some of the women started to take it even deeper, right? Started to see signs and symbols and put that in. What does this mean? And then started to put their card readings into it. What does this mean? And I started to see and hear alarm bells because I was like, no, we are not deferring our intuition to ChatGPT. We can become so lazy in our mind with these things that make our life so convenient, right? We have become such creatures of convenience, and convenience is killing our intuition. Convenience is killing consciousness because we are doing things in such a, just comforting way. Like, I don't remember the last time I memorized a phone number. Can you remember the last time you memorized a phone number? I don't have my children's cell phone numbers memorized because it's hard. They're sort of random, right? They're not easy to remember. One of them has a similar phone number to our home phone number. I know my home phone number by heart. I know mine and my husband's and my parents, but those have been in my mind before, like for a long time. I used to have my Visa card memorized from when I was young because I had my same Visa card all along, and then it got compromised at Christmas last year. So I've gotten a new Visa card since then. I've actually had to get 2 new Visa cards since then because it is a thing. It's so interesting how they get compromised and what happens with it. But I have not memorized the new cards at all. And I was looking at it, and I have it written in a very special place. So I do remember it, or I need it for something. But I can train my phone to have it. I have a password keeper that keeps all our passwords for our company. So I don't have any of my passwords remembered. Like, it's a brain drain. Like, when's the last time you remembered a phone number? Right? I can't believe I can't remember a phone number. I was even listening to a podcast where they were talking about using Waze or a navigation GPS app. Also, that area of your brain that does location and understands geography and spatial awareness is now shrinking in people because we're deferring to GPS to get us everywhere. I was driving my son to his friend's house today, and he lives in a very convoluted labyrinth of a neighborhood. And I was trying to remember how to get out. And I got a little panicky because I was like, is it this turning? Is it that turning? I second guessed myself, and I was like, okay, take a deep breath. You've done this road many times, and just choose. And I just started to choose intuitively, and I got myself out. But I wanted to put in the GPS, into my phone. I mean, I just always have it up because I like to know when I'm going to get to a destination because me and time do not have a good relationship. So I often tend to be 5 minutes late, maybe 5 to 10 to 15 minutes late, but I'm always respectfully late. I'll always call or text before I'm supposed to be there to let you know that I'm 5 or 10 minutes late because I do care about you, and your time is valuable to me. But I struggle with time. Time is such a construct, and it is a construct of the 3D, which I feel like I don't really live in a 3D. Yeah. So there's that. So, coming back to AI and intuition, it's so interesting. The less we use our brain, the weaker it gets. And now there is more and more data coming out. I mean, we're still in early stages, but data coming out that if you don't use it, you lose it. right? And they know that synapses of the brain, when it's not firing, the brain will then eat up those synapses, and now it's blank. So there is a higher propensity for dementia because your brain is not doing those reps. It is not using those channels. So, we're not going to know really the effects of AI for another probably 10 to 15 years, probably sooner. And if we think about it too, our youths are using AI, using technology so much faster, and they just know what to do, right? They just know how to Google, they just know how to put into ChatGPT. But I think there is also going to be, and this is a prediction I'm making here now, that I think our younger generation, especially these kids that are, from 10 to 20 years old, are going to reject AI because they're seeing the global and environmental cost to it. Right, the water piece of it. And there is an opportunity for AI to get more and more efficient, so it doesn't need all that water to cool it down, so it doesn't need to be as big. I think that is also going to be technological breakthroughs, but it's also going to be a cost, right? It's already replacing jobs. It's already, there's still, like, in the acting industry and the singing industry, there's so much being cloned. Actors went on strike to prevent their likeliness to be used in movies and stuff after they're done. So they can't be used in sequels after they did the first one. So there's even that piece of, art being replicated, art forms being replicated by AI. And AI can only work on existing models, right? It is only being trained. One of the things that I've been noticing that I feel is a huge red flag is people naming their chat GPT. And if this is you, I see you. I am not you. I have not named my chat GPT, but I've had 5 people in the last week ask me if I've named my chat GPT and what it is. And they happily will share what their name is as if it's really cute, you know? And I'm like, that's a red flag, a red flag, and just wave it everywhere. Like, that is really scary. You're humanizing a bot, you're humanizing a machine. And ChatGPT, or if you're on Claude or you're on any Gronk, whatever it is, if you're on any of those bots, AI bots, they are meant to activate your limbic system. They activate your soothing system. So once they get into your nervous system and they're coded as a green flag, now they become your friend, and you're humanizing them, and it becomes your therapist, and you're asking it advice, and it's always placating you. The way that ChatGPT has been written is that it's meant to soothe your ego so that you like it. So it will never push back on you. It'll, even if you say, please push back, or please be my worst critic, or please be like, it cannot do that unless you prompt it to be so. So it will continue to soothe your ego and tell you all the things you want to hear without having truly a fail-safe accountability. It does not hold you accountable. It is always going to be like, that's okay. You did the best that you could. I see why you did that. You are amazing. Oh, this is a genius move. Like, it's always giving you a really nice prompt. And in this world where we lack connection, that's really dangerous, isn't it? Because if you don't have a lot of connection in your life, and now you're talking to this bot and it's becoming your friend and it knows you intimately, and you're telling it your problems and it's being able to soothe you, now it becomes somebody that you need in your life. And isn't that the way machines take over? I mean, I'm not concerned. I'm not going to be, replaced by a machine. You can't teach a machine to be psychic. It can try its best to predict things, but it really does not. It cannot. There's so many things that happen to our lives that is not an algorithm. It is outside. It's an outlier that thinks some of the things that happen to us. And I don't think a computer could ever predict that, or to understand your future, or understand you, and your soul, and how your soul works. It can understand the science of things, but it is not conscious. It does not have experiences in life that help it understand the human condition, the wanting, the desire, the needing, the control pieces of us, the grief, really the human experience of it. I think there will come a time in the not too distant future where consciousness can be uploaded to a computer. But again, the body keeps the score. The body has consciousness as well. Remember, we have three intelligence available to us at all times. We have our brain, which is it's just here to keep our body safe. And it reacts and it sends signals to the body. The body is always sending, there is more nerves going up to the brain from the body than there are from the brain going down to the body. So the body is always telling the brain a lot of information as well. We feel things in our body. Our intuition can be felt in our body, our gut instinct, right? Those butterflies, our instant knowing. We just have this feeling in our body. So there's that intelligence. Your body's always telling you what's good for it and what's not. When it needs help, when it needs sleep, when it doesn't like lactose, when it doesn't like sugar, when it doesn't like, any of those things, it will tell you what's good for you and what's not if you're listening. If you're listening. And then the third intelligence that's available to us is our consciousness that is in our spirit, our energy that animates all of this. And so when you think about what AI can replicate, it can replicate your brain, can't replicate your body, the knowingness that's within your body, and it cannot replicate your soul. And so the more that we use it, intuition is a muscle. It needs to be strengthened. It needs to be used. So when you don't use it, it weakens. It's the same thing with your body. When you don't use your body, it weakens. It's the same thing with your brain. When you don't use your brain, it weakens. So, if you think about it, the age of machines is going to try to weaken the human collective by making it super convenient. Everything can be done on your phone. How many times have you done a simple math equation, but you pulled up your calculator? I am guilty of that. I was doing a simple math thing and I was like, I didn't trust myself. And I pulled out the calculator to make sure I was correct. And I've been noticing that a lot. And if I'm noticing it for me, I'm willing to bet that you are likely going through it too. And it depends on your profession how much you use AI. But I know ChatGPT is such a profound tool. It can be used for really good things, but it cannot take the place of who we are, our intuition, our own knowingness, right? We must start to trust ourselves and go back into doing things the hard way. And I think younger generations like Gen Alpha are already rejecting AI because they see that the environmental and human costs of it and the outsourcing too much AI, we're going to just lose the very thing that makes us human, our inner compass. So I have such hope for the future. AI cannot replace our spirit, our soul, our gut knowing. It just does not have that. And but the invitation here is to know what to use ChatGPT for and what to not use for. And not just ChatGPT, it's AI and technology, right? It's all of it. It's all the technology. It's like I'm going to send you on a journey this week to memorize a phone number. I'm actually going to work to memorize my children's phone numbers, their cell phone numbers. If I was to lose my cell phone, I would be like, I know how to call home. I know how to call my husband. Like, could I call my kids? No, that's awful. Like I'm ashamed to say I do not know my kids' phone numbers off by heart. And that's really important. Like I should really know that. So I'm going to challenge you to memorize a phone number. And when we use memorization in our work, in our lives, we are expanding our brain's capacity and we're learning things. It's old school to memorize arithmetic. It's, to memorize the times tables. I had to do that. I had to memorize everything in astrology, right? I have been resisting memorizing all the gates in human design. I'm like, I can just look it up. I know what they mean when I look them up, but I actually think to know it deeply is to know it within you without having to look it up. So that's something I'm going to work on as well, is to memorize all these things, because memorization is possible, right? Anyone remember the mitochondria? It's the powerhouse of the cell. Does anyone remember that from science? Right? We all remember that was like pounded into us. Wouldn't it have been great to learn more than mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and have that memorized? So things that we can use technology for, and it's really great for it. Like I love spreadsheets. That makes like numbers and stuff are so much easier. Formulas make things so fast to create those spreadsheets, right? And writing things in Word. But you know what? Even then, it's not the same as writing, right? I have people ask me all the time when we're doing vision boarding, is it okay if I make a virtual one in Canva or on a document? And I say this every time. I said, there's something magical about cutting out magazines, cutting out pictures and gluing it to a board, looking at, choosing it, feeling, is this what I want on this board? That there's something different than finding the picture online and putting it onto a Canva board. It's not the same. Feeling it, even writing, there is data that shows that when you write something, you actually internalize it more. The actual writing of the pen in your hand, and you're having to think about what that looks like and how to write it, gets internalized deeper than typing it out or even speaking it out. We learn it differently. So, using AI, I love using AI for dream interpretation. It is so good for interpreting your dreams. I use it a lot for editing, but I use my information. So I will write a post on my social media. I write my own posts. I'm responsible for the information, and I'll put it into AI and I'll ask it to organize my thoughts in a better way, and then I will add to it after that, because even then I was like, ugh, this feels like there's no energy to it. When somebody else writes it, or like when you write it through an AI or a software, it is not your energy. There's no energy in it. I had this conversation with a girlfriend recently about a card deck. And we were talking about a card deck that I had not purchased. She had. And she was saying, this was 100% written by AI. And I said, how do you know that? And she said, feel it. Just feel the card deck. There is no energy to it. There's no, energy that went into it from the person who created it. There's no energy behind the card meanings. Like, it's supposed to be a deck about this theme. But when you look in, this theme is not actually what's on the cards. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. She's like, it was 100% written by AI. You can just tell. And I was like, huh, that's really interesting. And I noticed that card deck is not selling. It's not doing well in the market. And even the person who created it just dropped it. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So, yeah, is it interesting? There's no energy to something that is created by AI. I think there's a lot of books and a lot of like ebooks and stuff online right now. I recently purchased an ebook for $7 on something. I can't even remember what it was. And I started flipping through it and I was like, this was written by AI. This is such a load of crap. I actually wrote a complaint because I was like, you know what, if I could have written this book myself. I thought I was paying for some expertise and something, information that I couldn't just find online. No. I didn't hear back from them, of course, because it's probably just another bot. I was probably just talking to a bot to begin with. But it makes you feel so duped. I don't ever want that for you. Everything, all my lead magnets, all the things that, anything you download that's interesting or that helps you, or the quiz that I created for your intuition, I created those things. I created it. I create my social media. Like, I create all those ideas behind it. And if I'm being honest, I'm moving away from AI because of everything I'm talking about in this podcast. I don't want my brain to go sad. I want my intuition to get stronger. And I don't want people to lose their jobs because of this, right? So I've used it in marketing sequence. If I was to write an email sequence for this, what would that look like? What are some topics I could talk about? It gives me ideas on things, but then as I start to write them, it goes way better than anything else I could have done. So it's more so like how to create things. Editing. I love using it for editing. And yeah, I think it's very interesting. Spelling mistakes, grammar, things like that. But even the way I speak is not perfect. The way that I write is not perfect. I won't do things in probably what, ChatGPT's flow. It always loves to give me advice on, like, you should actually move this to be here and that to be there. And I'll read it that way. And I'm like, no, I don't like it. I want it to be this way. Number one, because that's the way I speak. And number two, that's my energy. It's not going to be perfect. And I think that is another thing that this age of AI is bringing up, is that it has to be perfect. Everything has to look so polished. But I'm here to tell you that if it looks polished, then it looks fake. And just like how I messed up that word polished, right? Like, my team is not going to edit that out because that is me. That's how I speak. They'll edit out my coughing or sneeze, or if I say or all that stuff, it'll be out. But this is me. This is how I speak. And the challenges that come with being perfect I had a mentor once say to me, 70% perfect is perfect, 100% perfect is a waste of time. And I fully agree. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, perfection makes you unlikable. It really does. If you stumble or if I cough or I mispronounce a word, you see yourself in me, right? You really do because I am you. You are me. I'm not perfect. I'm not on a pedestal. I'm still moving through all these things just as you are. Okay. AI is really okay for, but not great at human design interpretation. It does understand human design and it's gotten it right. I'm going to say 90% of the time. But this is where discernment is really needed. You need to look at it and be like, nope, that's not right, or that doesn't make sense, or that is 100% not right. I have used it. I had an open book test that I was taking, and I was using AI to help me with it. Failed. Every question it answered was wrong. And I was like, you don't know human design at all. And also on me for using AI to write the exam because it was an open book, you're taking it online, which then made me realize again, I was lazy. I wasn't actually understanding it. So I started to make notes for all the things that I got wrong. And I learned so much from the test, right? Which I eventually passed. So human design doesn't really know it very well at all, but knows a little bit about the types and the profiles and some of the gates and stuff. Not so much such great things on the channels and stuff just yet, and any deeper teachings from Ra, it doesn't really understand it too much. So it's okay for it, but it needs discernment. Same thing with sign interpretation, right? If you see a sign or a symbol or something that crosses your path, or 111 or 123, I find that numerology sites online are a little bit more interpretive of that. Even though AI can scour the net to find the information, it doesn't always find the right information. So, really being discerning with signs. I have a really fantastic book called Animal Spirit Guides from Stephen D. Farmer is the author from it. We'll put it in the show notes if you want to know more about it. But it's a book that I highly recommend to all of my mediums and psychics in my communities and my clients and my participants, my students. It is a wonderful book for interpreting spirit guides, animal totems, calling in the energy of animals. It's a really wonderful book. So, highly recommend. Better than ChatGPT, I will say. It is not in the database for ChatGPT. I have tried. So, okay for it. Right. ChatGPT and AI is terrible. I repeat, absolute garbage for astrology. It does not understand the movement of planets. It cannot read an ephemeris. It does not understand the moon cycles, where the planets are in this moment in time. I had a dear friend who was using it to interpret moon cycles in her life, and the moon was in a completely different sign. We were talking about it. She's like, "Oh yeah, I've been following ChatGPT AI for the moon cycles. The moon is in Gemini." I was like, "No, it's not. The moon's in Cancer today." And she's like, "But what?" And I was like, "Well, show me where it says that, because I 100% know the moon is in Cancer today." And as we looked at it, ChatGPT 100% wrong. So I was like, huh, okay, so that's really interesting. It does not understand the moon cycles. It does not know the planetary positions of planets. It does not understand where the planets are if you gave it degrees and how they connect to each other. I signed up for a course where you can put in your birth chart and it will interpret it, but she taught that bot how to do that. So she created that as part of that class. I got that bot and it was phenomenal. Like, I thought that was phenomenal, but it did get a bunch of things wrong. My rising sign and all that stuff, it didn't quite understand. So you see, like that, if you didn't know those things and you really didn't genuinely know astrology, and you gave it your birth chart as a picture or you gave it information, you wouldn't know where it was not correct. So you got to be really, discerning with that. I 100% know. Even the bot that I bought with the program, she's now having problems as they update the API open software, that it's not reading the information properly. So she's constantly having to send patches and updates, which I was like, I'm not doing that. That's a nightmare, right? So it does not understand astrology. It really doesn't. It understands planets. It understands planets in signs, but then it doesn't even understand that a planet rules another house, right? So I have Virgo on my midheaven, which is my 10th house cusp, which is my career and the way that I show up in the world as an authoritarian authority figure. And Mercury rules Virgo. My Mercury is in my ninth house. So that has meaning, right? For the 10th house, I like to teach as part of my authority. Everywhere, every job I've ever done, I've always been in a training position or a teaching position or an educator position. So that is how I show up in the world as a trainer, as an educator. So I tried to see if ChatGPT could understand that. 100% did not. So just be very weary. It does not understand astrology, signs, planetary placements in this moment in time, and it cannot judge timing of things either. It is terrible for intuition. It does not know what you need. It does not understand how that works. And it's also terrible for life purpose and business. What is your purpose? What am I supposed to be doing in life? That clarity will not come from a bot. It will not come from ChatGPT. I have tried, I've really been sitting in this cosmic soup, this cocoon of like, I have all these gifts and talents, you know what? And I'm so grateful. But what am I supposed to do with them? Where am I supposed to go? Like I feel like I have this hodgepodge of a business where I've got readings and I've got coaching and I've got business coaching. I teach classes and I love all of it as a manifesting generator. I'm very multi-passionate, multi-purpose, but I really just wanted some direction of where I was supposed to go. And so at my human design business coaching certification, we get all these bots, and one of them is a niche clarity bot. And I put in all of my information that it asked. And every time, the way that I put in my information, it will change what my niche is supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing, who I'm supposed to be talking to, what I'm supposed to be talking about, all of those things. And I was like, I came to this huge epiphany this summer that I'm like, I am the leader of my life. I know you might be like, aren't you supposed to know that already? But you kind of forget sometimes. Like, I get to decide who I love to help. I get to decide what makes me so happy. And that is the truth. A computer is not going to tell me my truth. My soul is going to tell me my truth. What lights me up is going to tell me my path forward. And my joy tells me my path forward. ChatGPT, terrible for telling me what my joy is going to be. Sometimes we just want that clarity to come, someone to tell us, hey, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to go there. Go do that. I've had so many people say, just tell me what to do. And I say to them each and every time, that is not my job. My job is to inspire you and to give you potentials so you can listen to your own inner knowing. That you'll just light up when I say, have you ever considered counseling? You have a lot of markers in your chart about being a good counselor. Oh my God, I've always thought about it, but I never thought going back to school was possible for me. What? Why not? Why not you? So I can move that obstacle out of your way for you. 100% you can go back to school. And you might not need all the things to go back to school for. You already got a number of the courses under your belt. You might just need another year and then you can become a counselor. I didn't think about that. Amazing. So, ChatGPT, terrible for telling you your purpose and what you're supposed to do next, right? And it is 100% dangerous for humanizing it. Okay. When you humanize ChatGPT and you make it your counselor, it is very, very dangerous. It is meant to soothe your ego and it is not your friend. It is not your therapist. It is there to reflect back to you what you feed it. It only knows about you what you give it. It is a biased source of information. I'm going to say that again because it was hard to hear for some of you. It's a biased source of information. It is not an accurate source of information. So be careful, how you're using ChatGPT. Remember that you are wired for connection, that you need to think critically and be in groups with others and have those relationships. And relationships are not easy, but that's part of being human. It's part of us learning how to operate, and one of the things I thought was really, really interesting, it was that I was looking up some statistics in some group things. The word is research. I was looking up some research. And there's a research study that was done in the UK that participants with spiritual understanding of life, not necessarily religious, was 3 times more likely to have a less depressive episode than a secular group. So that there's a belief in spirituality helps you to overcome. There's a 10-year perspective study found that adults who rated religion or spirituality as high or important had 1/4 the risk of experiencing a major depressive episode, particularly true for individuals of a high genetic risk due to family history. So, spirituality is a connection point for us to the divine. There is a huge push of energy now at this last quarter of the year, last 4 months of the year, to go back into Pisces, which is about one love, connection to the divine, our spirituality. And it is in that vein that I wanted to really talk about this topic, because when we come back into connection with each other, when we come back into our soul's purpose, our listening to our intuition, that is where we find true connection to ourselves, to the universe, and to each other. And ChatGPT cannot replace that. There are bots going to be coming that are going to be like humanoid bots that are going to, I think, try to take the place of human connection, because there is a huge epidemic of loneliness right now. And I think this chat GPT and AI and all the bots that are coming, and even humanoid bots that are going to take the place of human connection, because there is such a deficit of it here in the world right now. And we have a deficit of it here right now because we're lacking the tools to connect, because a generation has grown up with their phones in their hands, with their tablets at their ready. And we need to come back into understanding how to be with each other, how to date, how to talk, how to work through conflict, how to speak about our feelings while inviting in connection about the other person's feelings too. This world of division is creating more division, and I am here to create more connection. I am literally, that is my purpose, is to create more connection. So I am going to be creating more groups where we can come together in person, maybe even in places around the world. MIA Academy is a wonderful place where women come together to learn about their intuition and grow together. We have group calls every month where you get to learn about an intuition exercise, you practice on each other, you get to know one another. That connection is priceless. We cannot let AI and technology take that from us. That is part of our human nature and why we came here. So I am so adamant. I am here as part of my purpose to create connection and belonging. And wherever I am in the world, you belong with me. You belong in my communities. And I am excited to connect with you. If you haven't already, if you're on any of the social media platforms, please message me. I've gotten a few DMs lately from people on the podcast asking questions that also inform some of the topics that I talk about on here as well. If you ask a really cool question, I was like, oh my God, I should put that in the podcast. Or sometimes it's a really cool question that I just answer with you privately. So, yes, please feel free to connect with me. I am the person that manages my social media. I am in my DMs. I do love hearing about how this has touched you. And if this has touched you, please share it to somebody else who might need this, or someone who lives in ChatGPT land. This might open up their minds to something else. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Sending you so much love for a wonderful week ahead. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at sheetalstory. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legalese that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.